So when people talk about using nitrous, I'm on nitrous.
And nitro also.
Well, I'm running 30% nitromethane on top of it. Yeah, I don't.
Is that a stock Harley neck right there?
Yes.
Or is this part?
It's a stock Harley frame.
The whole thing is? You haven't modified it at all?
No, not at all. It's 100% stock.
Except for that little motor mount there.
Parts of it might be slightly modified.
It looks like the rake's a little different than a standard one too.
The what?
The rake. Seems a little.
It is?
Seems a little.
That's not stock?
Seems a little more out there, you know.
Oh. It's not very high. How could it be raked and not be high?
That's why you rake it, so it doesn't get you down towards the earth a little more.
Down toward Earth.
Hiding behind that shield as low
So
as
what
you can.
ignition was in there? You figured it out yet?
Which ignition?
Yeah.
I can't read, it's too dusty though. MSD something. I can't read it. What is it?
We're going to lose our battery pretty soon. Here, hold on to this.
There you got MSD 8 right there, something same as mine. Told me it wasn't no good.
You got a 7.
I think I have 8 now, a new one I think.
You said you had a 7.
7A02.
That's an 8. It's not a 7.
Maybe it is a 7. Yeah, I thought I had a new one that was gold one like that. But
8s are for alcohol dragsters, funny cars.
I don't have an 8 then.
They started using them on pro mods until they went to different ignitions now. This back in the 90s, this is a top dog. They had a 10, but the 10 didn't really work. 8's what everybody used.
Okay.
So this is an MSD 8.
Lots of hot juice coming out of that baby once it gets to the coil?
Inch and a half spark.
Wow.
Blue. Or
Blue spark.
7 of them.
Well,
Like 7 of them come out at once.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's the fuel pump up there.
That's half of it, right? That's the whole thing? Is this part of it too? That's just the mounting clamp, huh?
That's the whole thing. Goes all the way across.
Yeah,
That long.
that's what I thought. I got one similar in my car. I don't know what
How
kind
big
of
is that
one it is. What'd you say it was? 5?
They
No.
claim like 110 out of these, 115.
The standard electric one.
Free load. Yeah, that one's,
That's a real.
250 is
That's a
what they
race
claim.
car one.
that's what they claim 250.
Wow. Yep.
And you want to know why that battery's in there? 'Cause
To run all this shit with
There's about 80, 85 amp load on this thing when it's running.
80, 85. That's what's taken out.
This used to take 36 amps to run it, just this.
What'd you do? What do you mean used to?
MSD modified it to work with my single cylinder application,
Oh,
and I needed more spark and less duration.
okay.
So they give me more spark voltage. And they said it takes, it probably only takes about 12 to 15 amps now to run it.
There's a nitrous bottle too. You guys see nitrous
Yeah, I got the
bottle?
little nitrous bottle on the top.
Every run, you gotta fill it up, huh?
I can almost get 2 passes at
Maybe at
Bonneville.
Bonneville, maybe. Yeah.
At Bonneville, I can almost get 2 passes.
What kind of brakes you got there?
At El Mirage, you can get 2 runs out of it. But Bonneville, you gotta go get another bottle. And that's a 10-pound bottle, so I'm spraying heavy.
San Diego Roadster Club,
Yipper.
street to strip. AirTech. What's AirTech? Oh, your switches? No.
Fiberglass. He makes
Oh.
my panels.
Okay.
He did my body work, or whatever else I need made. And then we got this little box over here.
That's the other part of the ignition, right?
Nope,
What is that one? What's that red thing?
that's the secret for the whole bike.
That is?
Yeah.
That's the brain, then, huh?
It puts me at 15 volts.
Oh, okay.
That's 50 amps of power,
Yep.
stabilized at 15 volts.
All right.
See, I don't have an alternator on this bike, so I'm running 12 volt total loss.
That's where you told me when that thing's pumping 15 pounds, you get more
So
fuel
that
out of it.
ignition does not like total loss.
Okay.
They lose a lot of power when they're not putting 13 volts into that ignition module.
I'm seeing a few more modifications.
That's why the cars, they run those, they run 3 batteries to get to 17 volts.
Mm-hmm. Or they buy a new 17 volt battery.
Now they make a special battery
or
now.
18 volts,
But back in the 90s, they didn't do special batteries.
Yeah.
I used to have 3 batteries on this bike too.
You did? Motorcycle batteries?
3 6-volt batteries, 18 volts.
I'm seeing some more frame modifications back here.
There's frame modifications.
Yeah.
I can't believe that
Swing
possibly
arm.
could have happened on this bike.
It's all bolt on, though. Huh? They'll come off there in one piece.
Oh, this is stock.
Yeah, I mean, from there back and down, though.
That's all stock. Look at that, it's all stock.
But this stuff here.
What? That's stock.
Why do you have these mounts? Oh, foot peg, higher and lower on the foot pegs, huh?
Well, it's stock back to here somewhere.
Yeah, but what about these?
Somewhere
Like
in here it
this bar
changes.
stock?
Yeah.
This one's not, and that one's not.
Well, that's behind.
The new part.
This might not be stock on the back. Stock in the front. It might have got a little bit.
What do you do for maintenance on it after
A lot.
after a run?
Every run.
Every run you get a lot, then, huh?
Top ends off.
For real? How much time you get between runs?
Every pass.
Wow.
If you blow it, if you have time,
Yeah.
and you really burned a big ass hole through the piston, not
And
just a small
does it
hole,
lower
but
in too?
big hole through the piston, then you have to pull the pan and flush it.
Wow.
But if you don't have time, you don't do that.
Just take a chance, huh?
Well, that tends to go through pumps. That's why I put this on there.
Oh, that's gonna catch the metal in,
Keep
huh?
going through a lot of fuel pumps,
Yeah.
oil pumps. I mean.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
these are cheap pumps. They're Buell pumps. I used to use zipper pumps.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which are, I forget the name of those they were making.
Is that another solenoid? That red thing?
This here,
Yeah.
capacitor,
Capacitor.
stabilizes the power to your ignition box.
Okay.
You should have one of those on your bike, on your car.
Really?
You're supposed to.
I don't think I do.
You know that? Well, it's not wired correctly.
I'll have to find out.
This stabilizes the ignition going into the ignition springs.
And all the relays up there are just for other things, like solenoids and stuff?
What, these here?
Yeah.
This broken one here?
And the other two? The zip tie didn't hold like a hose clamp.
Well, you got this thing over here called the ignition system.
Right.
And when you turn this switch on right here,
Yeah.
see how that light comes on?
Right. Yeah, up
What
top.
that light tells you?
Ignition's on.
Hey, dumbass, turn the damn ignition off.
Before you burn the battery up, huh?
That's the oil pressure. This is your dead man.
Yeah.
See, it actually works.
Oh, killed the light, didn't it? Yep.
So this is a 30 amp dead man that will never fail.
Never fail. To turn it off?
It never fails.
Okay.
Because you yank the leads out.
No way.
See the
It doesn't
connector?
work?
See the connector?
Just in case? Let me
Well,
see.
how's it
Let
gonna-
me see the connector again. Oh my lord.
How's it going to work?
How them people let you keep going?
How's it going to work? I yanked out the fucking wiring.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Now this never fails.
I agree.
Doesn't vibrate, doesn't give you a bad connection, doesn't turn your ignition on and off while you're going down the track. This is 100% foolproof.
If you crash though, and you yank it
The light
out,
comes back on.
then it'll
See
come
the light
back on. All right.
See that? It goes off.
Yeah. So it does work.
So,
Where's the other end of that thing go? Around your wrist?
goes around I put on my zipper of my jacket.
Okay.
So this switch here controls everything because this goes through this to the switch.
Okay.
Then it goes to all these other switches, which are on-off switches for your nitrous, your fuel pumps, all that crap. So when you pull that lead, everything shuts off. This bike's dead. It's like your master kill switch in the back of your car.
Yeah.
That's my master
thing,
kill
huh?
switch.
Okay.
It kills everything.
And what year is that top end? Is that a
Now
late
all
model
of these
Sportster?
circuit breakers back here
Yeah.
take a load.
From some different system on there.
See
Huh?
it? These
Solenoid?
solenoids are not your standard bike solenoids. These are car solenoids.
Right.
These are cheater solenoids.
Oh.
If you run a 300 horse nitrous system on your car, this is the solenoid you got in your car.
All right. I don't have nitrous.
Now, did you see the size fuel line I'm feeding that thing with?
I did see the big one
3/8 fuel hose feeding that solenoid. You
Right.
know why I got 3/8 feeding that thing?
because it takes a lot.
Because 1/4 inch wasn't enough.
Yeah. Why else would you have it on there?
You know why these are stainless steel?
No.
Because there's thinner tubing. The hole through it's bigger.
Really? Lighter
Flows
weight?
more.
Lighter weight?
Flows more. I don't care about weight. I care about volumes.
Oh. Same diameter, same as a. What else would it be made of besides stainless?
It takes you years to figure out where your restrictions are at.
I'll bet.
When the jet is not the problem, you have to figure out what the problem is. You know what the problem is? Every junction's a problem. The nozzle's too small. The
Everything can be a
tube
problem.
connector on the nozzle's too small. The tube is too small. The hole inside the solenoid, that's a racing solenoid, is too small.
Wow.
So you have to go in there and open that up.
Damn.
The rubber does not like nitromethane.
So that eats that up every
So
so
up to
often.
25% nitromethane you can run on a fuel solenoid.
Mm-hmm.
When you go to 30, it doesn't work anymore.
And so that's alcohol too on this thing, right?
Well, yeah,
Pure
it's
alcohol. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know it's got methanol.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I mean, it's got.
Nitro
I run
in it.
methanol, but it's got nitro in it.
Yeah.
So, like I said, 25, no problem. 30, forget it doesn't work anymore.
Wow.
You know how when you run the motor on raw nitrous and no fuel? It doesn't help the piston one bit.
It get a little hot.
But it will do 143 miles an hour.
You've been having no fuel before?
Yes. It took me 3 days to figure it out.
We could turn the gas on?
It makes it weird, so it sounds like electric motor installed. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. But it still goes down the track.
Wow.
Because I got a 350 thousandths main jet in this thing. The whole
So
size.
there's enough fuel going through the jets there to keep it running then, huh?
Yeah, it was had enough. When it wasn't working right, the carburetor was siphoning enough fuel through it to keep up with it. but it's still, the air still has to go through to pick the fuel up. So it was
Is there a
running,
petcock on the thing?
so it was running lean. No petcock.
So it just didn't turn the fuel pump on?
The petcock was that fuel hose back there.
Yeah. So it didn't turn the
Not
fuel
that big.
pump on?
The fuel pump's up there.
I know. Why did it run no fuel? You know, so I'm trying to figure out
The
why.
nitrous, the solenoid went, the plunger moved, but it
Oh.
didn't. The rubber
It didn't let nothing go, huh?
didn't uncover the hole.
Oh man, cheap shit.
Didn't like the mixture that was holding it back.
Yeah, no, it took you so long to figure
So
that
I
one out.
machined them out of brass, and now they don't have a problem with it anymore.
Like get rid of the rubber.
Yeah, there's no more rubber in there.
Like you said, it takes time to learn all that shit.
So there's probably a little bit of leakage through that, but on a fuel mode we don't care about leakage. That's just idle.
Okay.
So that's no problem. So the idle jet on this carburetor is 88 to 92 thousandths.
The idle jet.
Yeah, that's 88 to 92 main jet for a regular Harley.
Wow.
Most Harleys run a 70.
Well, I have mine 68.
Yeah, most Harleys run a 70 main jet. I run a 90
Yeah.
idle jet. That's what Nitro does for your motor.
Wow.
The main jet's 350 thousandths whole at 60%.
And that's
nitro.
going in there under pressure too.
That's
so.
at 60% nitromethane.
Wow. Damn. That's 60%.
60%. When you run lower percentage, the jets don't come down. 320 I used a lot. 300 I used quite a bit. The biggest S&S makes is 300. The biggest you can make the jet's 350.
Because you can make it even, huh?
That's the biggest you can make it because next you got to pull it out. There's nothing in there.
So.
That's 8 thousandths wall thickness.
That's all that's left of it, huh?
8 thousandths wall thickness, yes.
Damn.
So that's what it feeds it. So that's why we got 2 lines feeding it, and that's under 5.5 psi.
Mm-hmm.
The nitrous system is under 28 psi. So when you open up the 4 nozzles, which are anywhere from 68 to 85 thousandths holes,
Right. 68 to 85,000.
not one hole,
All of them. 4.
4.
Yeah. I dumping a lot of fuel in that thing.
At 28 psi, they shoot about 10 feet out the jet, solid stream, each one. And then you got that little 24 over there. 24 is a pretty good stream coming out too.
Wow.
That's just, you stick that on just to see if it's a little bit too lean.
Where'd you have a dyno at?
My friend does. I got videos of me on the dyno. It runs like crap on dyno. Dynos are worthless.
Yeah, mine was always
It will
full.
not run on a dyno.
Mine was shit too.
But anyway, that's how you do all this stuff.
Cool. What do you got? What do you need to do to it to get it ready to run?
Pull the top end off, see what condition the cylinder is after it melted that piston I showed you.
Oh, the last one, yeah.
Remember I showed you those pistons a few times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's some of the other pistons.
Oh yeah. I think warmest. Yeah, that was going. That was real
This
close.
is detonation. Locks up the ring lands.
Okay.
This one here is detonation and getting a little pre-ignition going, so see it's melting everything away. See it's got a little extra. That ring
Wow.
might be leaking slightly.
Yeah, gapped it up a little bit there.
So that's going to cause some blow-by.
Okay.
This one here, a little bit more blow-by.
I lose a little compression on that
That's
one
pre-ignition. That just put a hole right through it.
too. Wow.
So there's your 3 different pistons. You got detonation, pre-ignition, and mix.
That's the damage right there then, huh?
Yeah. Mine likes to detonate on the bad side. So right here. It detonates on this side of the chamber right here.
Because the spark plug's on the other side. Spark plug's on the other side?
There used to be one over here, but it got defunct.
Oh.
Anyway, that's where it detonates on my bike.
The Teflon coated too, huh?
These are all coated. What are you looking at?
Bike.
I'm supposed to be looking at where we're talking about. So notice how the rings don't move.
Right in there, they're stuck, right?
Kind of stuck in there a little
Melted in. The oil rings still moved?
Collapsed.
Oh, it just collapsed, huh?
Yeah, these are
Nice
these
pistons.
are Wiseco pistons, I think.
Teflon coated pistons. Good.
Yeah, these are Wisecos, which is back in the bike again. See how they're cut different?
They want it high? There's a stroker piston or what? The sides are cut different? Yeah. That means how much clearance you got between the rings and that? The same.
Well, this had a little clearance issue.
That's what you're talking about? This being cut different?
Had a clearance issue.
I'm
Got a
looking
clearance
at,
problem.
they're all up in the bottom ring. Height wise, yeah.
Now, most of the pistons these days, what they do is they burn straight down through this whole side of the piston. And it eats the end of the wrist panel.
I've seen him knock a hole in the head. Between the head and the block.
I don't have that problem.
No?
I have a cast iron head. You ain't melting through that.
Oh no, yeah.
You'll break it, but you ain't gonna melt through it. And it's broken. It's got lots of cracks in it. Anyway, I got stacks and stacks of broken cylinders and pistons all over the place.
So we need to check that before we get too far along, huh?
Check what?
The top end. So it needs to be done.
Every run, whether it needs it or not.
Are you going to do it before you leave here, or are you going to do it at the track when you get there?
I'm gonna do it again.
Okay. I want to see that part.
That's the one that had that melted cylinder, and I haven't looked at this. I haven't seen the cylinder since I ran it. The second pass. First pass was dead lean, melted the piston 1/8 inch of the dome off.
Yeah.
It finally quit running about 100 yards from the finish line, if that. Probably not even that far. Probably about 100 feet from the finish line.
Just quit, huh?
And all of a sudden the brakes came in hard. I pulled the clutch in and coasted through at 130. I forget what it was. Well, I think it was 131.
The brakes came in hard.
Well, when the motor quits running,
Oh, the compression brake.
and all that air pressure that you're fighting,
Right.
the bike feels like you got the brakes on all the way.
Oh, okay.
It
I
kind of
see.
decelerates hard.
Yeah.
In the front of the bike, my weight and my body dives the front end.
Really?
Yeah. The deceleration, that's how heavy it is.
Wow.
I still went 131. I had to go 145 to get a record, 144.
I think you could have made it.
I was probably doing 145 when it finally let go.
Bummer.
It was not happy.
And what counts is when you go through the
It
lights,
was
right?
not happy all the way down the track, but it was going.
I'll bet.
It wasn't happy. It was going.
Run too good to you knew it was not going to happen. You're hoping it was going to make it to the finish line,
So
though.
if it didn't have that Troubleshooting oil in there, it would have never made it. Because
Really?
I did the same kind of crap before and with a different deal, but same thing.
Wow.
By 4/10 of a mile, it was done. Oh, Mirage is 1.3 miles, so I went 1.295 miles before it was done.
That close, huh?
That close. But that's enough to cost the record.
Yeah. I
Anyway,
know. They slow down fast when they quit
It
running.
was moving.
Yeah.
So if I fix the problems this time, it'll work. So the bike was dead lean, taken off from the starting line, which is in the video, misfiring right from the get-go.
Mm-hmm.
And all the way down the track it was doing that. I didn't hear it at the finish, at the starting line, but I definitely knew about it going down the track.
I bet.
And I think what happened was the fuel pump was not working.
Really?
Yeah. I was having a problem with the fuel pump.
Starving it for fuel, huh?
Also, the ignition retard box failed. It all vibrated out, all his guts fell out.
Yeah. Well, that will tell you right there. If fuel cools the
I
cylinders
fixed
down.
that at the starting line. I rewired the bike at the starting line. I disconnected all that retard shit.
It died before you even got going, huh?
The whole side, the whole thing fell out. It was all hanging out.
Failure.
All the guts were hanging out the side of that box. So that's a good sign it's not working.
Yeah.
So I had to rewire all it. The bike wouldn't start. I warmed it up. The bike was running. And I went to start it to go race.
Yeah.
It wouldn't start. It was crank, wouldn't start. So I rewired the whole bike, disconnected all that stuff. I still got all the wiring stuff up under the bike that's not wired, so I can run multiple combinations.
Yeah.
So I had to figure out which wires to disconnect and connect to eliminate that. So I did all that.
Good thing you were there.
Then it started right up and ran, so that's how I ran it.
Yeah.
But when I went to start the bike up after I fixed it, after the pass, put the top in, did the top end deal, the bike wouldn't start. Had no fuel pressure.
So it was running out of fuel too then, huh?
So the fuel pump was locked up and wasn't working.
Yeah.
So I took the fuel pump apart. There was nothing inside the rotor. It's a gyro rotor pump.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with it. The armature was not working. The brush's armature
Failed, huh?
failed. So I took the other side of the thing apart. I took the commutator, scraped everything out with my pocket knife,
Mm-hmm.
screwdriver, whatever I had there. I scratched all the commutator. I scratched the brushes. I scraped everything, new surface. Put it back together. It kind of worked, not work, kind of worked, not work. And I kept running it until it was finally starting to work more steady, but still not every time.
Wow.
And that's when I made my second pass. Now, second pass, I bumped all the jetting way the hell up, and way too much.
Because you knew it wasn't going to get the right pressure,
Well, I
huh?
was dead lean on the first pass. I couldn't
Yeah.
make it richer.
Mm-hmm.
The problem was I was hitting all the nitrous stuff. I didn't have the bottle on the bike, but I had all the fuel stuff hooked up.
Yeah.
So I was turning all the nitrous stuff on, but I wasn't getting any more fuel because the fuel pump wasn't working. The carburetor's too lean, and I didn't have any extra fuel going into it. So on the second time around, I bumped the jet up on the carb, the biggest one. I went from 320 to a 350.
Yeah.
Small increases. And then all the nitrous jets, I opened them up. I put big jets in them. So when I went down the track, the bike was running a little bit lean on the 350. It was running better, but it was still a little lean.
Yeah.
So when I clicked on the Nitrous system, it killed the motor.
So you need a new fuel pump too?
So it's like a top fuel drag. You put too much fuel in it, it drops the cylinder.
Oh, then I got one to drop.
So it was dropping the cylinder every time I hit the button. It dropped. Didn't matter what I did, it dropped. Even a little small accessory one.
Does that mean just like too much fuel in there? Is that the deal? There's no oxygen to compressor or whatever it
The
is?
ignition is not heavy enough to fire the brew. Even though that thing will fire an 1.5 inch spark, that's not enough ignition to fire it when you got all that fuel in there.
Yeah.
So
It doesn't like drop a cylinder. Okay, I didn't know what that meant really.
So what I did was I went down the track, I was turning the fuel pump on and off. Like that.
To get up, just so I get up to speed, huh?
And when you get it just right, it would accelerate pretty good.
Yeah.
When you got out of phase, the bike would just start slowing down.
Wow.
And so I went down the track like that. So you got to keep the float bowl just dry enough that it was leaning out the main jet, but it was enough it was still running. There's a real fine line between the two.
I guess so.
So I just couldn't get out of second gear. I was in third gear, but I couldn't get out of second.
Oh, battery.